right. Good morning and welcome to Unity at Harlem for April 19th, 2026. And we are grateful to have you here with us. And certainly you still have time if you're in Harlem to come and see us at 318 West 139th Street in Harlem. And what am I looking? Camera, what about it? Okay, look at the camera. Okay. I'm not used to actually being on the camera. I'm usually the person behind the camera. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the person who's going to get us started with music and celebration, and that is the lovely and talented Marie Poncé.
Thank you so much, Bob Poncé. All right, thank you, and thank you for being with us also. All right, hold on. All right. Everybody ready to sing? We've got a song called Yes, I Am Here to Love. Yes, I Am Here to Serve. Yes, I Am Here to Be the Love of God. With a new, with another arrangement that by yours truly, of course. Here to love, yes I am. Here to serve, yes I am. Here to learn, yes I am. Here to live, yes I am. Here to be the love of God. You got it, so sing now. Yes I am. Here to love, serve. Yes, I am here to serve, learn. Yes, I am here to learn. Yes, I am here to live. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. And I know forevermore that I am loved. Yes, I know forevermore that I am loved. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. Beginning. Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am serve, here to serve. Yes, I am here to learn. Yes, I am live, here to live. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. Love, I am. Love, yes, I am. I am unconditional love. I am, yes, I am the love of God. Love, I am. Love, yes, I am. I am here to be the love of God. Are you here to be the love of God? To infuse love into whatever you see and do and be. Can I do that from day to day? Unconditionally, yes, that's what Warren says. Unconditionally. All right, yeah. So let's welcome the sultry voice of the man you just saw for the first time, perhaps, Robert Bob Poncé.
Isaiah 55, verse 11 says, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. Unity affirmations speak to the power of our words, and particularly the power of I am. And so we say this affirmation every Sunday to affirm our divine nature. The words are on the screen, and I invite you to say them with me. I am an abundant, radiating center of God's love and light for peace, healing, and inner truth for all.
And now, in preparation for our talk, we have this song called Oceans by Carrie Joby. You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep. My faith will stand, and I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you never failed, and you won't start now. Keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul rests in your embrace, for I am yours, you are mine. You are mine. Thanks, Jackson. Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith, make it stronger. The presence of my Savior, you. Amen. Thank you for being the wind beneath my wings, the water that holds me up as I float across my life. Amen. And now I would love to hear what Reverend Ogun Holder has to say for me right now. Hi.
Thank you, Marie. Ah, so it is good to be with you again. As you can see right now, I'm not in Harlem, but I am with you in Harlem. I'm back in Lisbon, and it's transitioning from place to place, from time zone to time zone. Always gives you an opportunity to practice recentering in the now. There's that saying, wherever you go, there you are. And it doesn't matter where I am geographically or what time zone I'm in or the different time zones of different commitments I have to adhere to or who I am with or what's happening around me or who is in power or who's doing a good job or not doing a good job. Regardless, wherever I go, there I am. And that I am is both me, the personality, Ogun, and the I am, me, the embodiment of all that is, the embodiment of the Christ. So wherever I go, there's Ogun, and there's Ogun as Ogun embodies the Christ. And embodying the Christ is always one of those things that we sometimes, still wrapping our heads around. But that's the purpose of us being on the spiritual journey, doing this spiritual work. And as I shared with you last week, the 12 powers, a concept fairly unique to unity, is part of how I have learned to understand and continue to understand and practice being the I am. The I am, the Christ nature, all that is me, that is God, is not just a state of being, it's a state of doing. It's how we show up in the world. As I like to say, the spiritual practice part means as practice, we keep doing it. And it doesn't just happen on the yoga mat or the meditation cushion or the pew in your church or spiritual center. The practice happens when we struggle the most, when we come face to face with life's challenges, with people who push our buttons, when we bump up against our wounds and our traumas. This is when we put what we have learned spiritually and who we are spiritually into practice, because it is through these teachings and through the embodiment of the Christ nature that we navigate them. They don't disappear and all of a sudden everything's great. No, but we navigate them and we tap into resources we didn't know we had in order to navigate those and transcend and come on the other side of them. So the 12 powers, again, is this idea that Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, came up with to help map our Christ consciousness as a guide for mastery, self-mastery. And as I shared last week, if you didn't see last week's talk, go back on YouTube or Facebook and see it for a little bit of an overview of the 12 powers. But the important thing to remember, these 12 powers are neutral and impersonal. We all are embodied with them because each and every one of us is the embodiment of the Christ. And we all have these 12 powers, these 12, some people call them faculties, just however we are. We can think of all that is as sort of subdivided, embodied, as these 12 abilities, faculties, powers, whatever name you want to use for them. And the idea is to use them from our highest consciousness, from the Christ nature of who we are, not from the human ego nature. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be exploring these a little bit, but more importantly, I'm going to be exploring them at length in our ongoing book study. That happens on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom, so you can join wherever you are. And we're exploring them through a book called Divine Audacity, written by the Unity minister, Linda Martella Whitsitt, who I'm actually in communication with, come sit in on our book study for a while. So you'll hear straight from the source. Well, yeah, Linda the source, not God the source. But Linda's the embodiment of the Christ too. So you'll be hearing from two sources. Linda as Linda and Linda as her demonstration of the Christ nature. So I hope you can all come to the book studies on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Zoom. You don't have to show up for every week. And even if you didn't do the reading for that week, it's okay. So more information on how to get that Zoom link is on the church's website, unityinharlem.org. Or the quickest way to remember it is in your web browser, type in bit.ly/Unity in Harlem Zoom. And you'll hear more information on that in the good news announcements that come. So one of the other interesting things about the 12 powers is that they're often used in pairs or paired up together. And one of the reasons they're paired is they kind of help bring like a sort of balance and harmony. Because as you know, there's schools of thought around. We have masculine energy and feminine energy, and these and the key is to sort of like balance, right? Balancing our full humanity with our full divinity. So sometimes these powers are paired together to sort of help us not get carried away with one of them, overexpressing one of them, or it becoming distorted, or we just use it so much or apply it so much that, as the saying goes, sometimes too much of a good thing, it's not a good thing. So today we can explore two of them that are often paired together, and that's faith and understanding. And again, think of these as, how shall I say, these are powers, but they're also principles that we can apply as we walk through our daily life from moment to moment. So when we think of faith in the traditional religious / Christian sense of faith, we think of faith as that idea of believing something that we don't have evidence for. And that's kind of how it's traditionally proposed. And that something is usually God. We can't prove God. We don't know God. So we just have faith in God and faith in God's works. So there's an element to that here in the 12 powers as well, except that we're looking at this from a spiritual point of view. So faith is that power to spiritually know and believe with conviction, but we do it from our Christ consciousness. So, for example, if we are coming into faith from our human consciousness, from our ego, just there, we can have weak faith, which means we are filled with doubts and skepticisms and suspicions and distrust, or we can like really overexpress and lean into our faith so much that it becomes a dogmatic narrow-mindedness. Okay, so the idea is that we approach faith from our highest consciousness, and when we approach faith from our highest consciousness, we realize that not just faith, but all the other powers, that when we apply them in our lives, we know that we can rely on the outcome. And we know that the divine laws and principles that are at work will manifest in our lives as well. So we can begin the journey with hope. Hope is that idea of the light is at the end of the tunnel. Like, this will all work out. I hope this will all work out. This, just trusting things will work out, but not really putting any spiritual essence behind it. It's just like a positivity, right? And often that's the first step that can pull us out of despair. And then, sometimes we transition into this idea of blind faith, which is like we might instinctively feel the presence of something greater than us, but we don't exactly know how to apply it, or that it really applies to us. Blind faith is a greater sense of optimism. Blind faith is also, we're just going to follow and trust because you told us to. It's not owning it for ourselves. But when we lean in a little bit more into the spiritual context of it, it's really that really deep-seated belief and knowing that when we apply spiritual principles and spiritual laws, we will experience desired outcomes. And when I say desired outcomes, I'm not referring to material things in terms of the 5th century world. I'm not saying we're going to, have a desired outcome of wealth. Although if we apply principles of abundance, that may be one of the outcomes. But it's interesting when we really dive into principles of abundance, we realize it's not about money. Abundance is not about money. Abundance is about the wealth of goodness, about the wealth of prosperity, which shows up in many ways in our lives besides money. We can have an abundance of health, an abundance of connections and loved ones and joy. Like, yeah, full abundance really doesn't have to do with just money. And we're clear that when we apply spiritual principles, we will curate a life of ease and grace and flow, and yes, abundance in all the ways that it shows up. Emily Cady, well-known Unity teacher and author, wrote that one of the unerring truth in the universe is that the supply of every good always awaits the demand. And another truth is that the demand must be made before the supply can come forth. To recognize these two statements of truth and to affirm them are the whole secret of understanding faith. So faith, in a sense, is us declaring our intention and declaring the experience we want to have to the universe. Again, on that metaphysical spiritual consciousness level. And when we sit in that space of intention and knowing that when we apply these intentions and principles through faith, that we will be guided. Things and people will show up in our lives. When we have to make choices, we get that intuitive sense of which choice to make that will align with that desire. And she talked about understanding faith, and the other power that gets paired with faith more often than not is understanding. Okay. And it's this understanding is the power to comprehend and interpret and make connections. And, when we are approaching it from our ego sense or human sense, it's all about what we've learned from experience, from education, whether that's formal or informal education. We kind of rely on the past for our sense of understanding. But from a spiritual point of view, the power of understanding is how do we apply these principles, and the idea that there is always something deeper at play here. There's always a deeper opportunity for us when things arise, and for us, as I more often than not mention, for us to show up as the divine. There's a deeper understanding that things aren't just happening to us, or rather things don't happen to us. Things happen, and we get to choose how we show up in the midst of those things that are happening. And that's a really important difference and a really important nuance. Life isn't happening to us. We happen to our life. And through applying the spiritual principles, we understand, combined with faith, how to navigate in the world. So when we look at pairing faith and understanding, part of the reason these two get paired a lot is, again, Fillmore sort of based these powers on the 12 disciples. Okay, so there's a sense of synergy between the two disciples that these powers represent. Faith is represented by the disciple Peter, and understanding by the disciple Thomas. So those of you who know your Bible or your gospel stories pretty well, you know that Peter was one of the first disciples that Jesus picked. And Jesus was very impressed by Peter's faith in him and said, on you, Peter, which the Greek Petra means rock, upon you I will build my church, as in your faith will be the foundation for which the church that follows me is built. And Peter did become the leader of the apostles and the earliest church as well. Thomas, you might know, we talked about Thomas on Easter Sunday, about Thomas was the disciple who, or rather after Easter Sunday, was the disciple who, when Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, appeared to the other disciples and he wasn't there, he didn't believe it. And he said, I won't believe it until I see with my own eyes and I could touch the nail prints with my own hands, hence that term, doubting Thomas. But as I shared last week, I believe that because of Thomas's experience of wanting to understand more clearly for himself what was going on, I think he had a deeper connective experience with resurrected Jesus. So what does that mean for us is that when we seek and live from a deeper understanding of how these principles work and apply them with faith, as in that deep knowing beyond doubt that when we apply the principles as we understand them, we will see the desired outcomes from them, then that's kind of that synergy, that how they balance each other out. You're not just hoping things will work out, but you understand the principles behind how to make them work out, or rather how you show up in the midst of the situations. Again, I always have to state that caveat of when we say how things will work out, we tend to think we know how they should work out, right? We tend to kind of have this idea in our head of if I'm in this situation, here's the best outcome. But the truth of the matter is we don't know the best outcome. We only think we know. So part of relying on the faith and the understanding that our human self or human ego is not the one that knows the answers, that's part of this balance of faith and understanding. Part of the other reason that they are often paired together is faith sort of has this visionary aspect to it, whereas understanding has this sort of architect or building aspect to it. So faith is perceiving what's not yet visible, right? We use the perceiving power of our mind. When we come to the power of imagination, we'll talk a little bit about how this fits in. But again, we have to build on that faith, and that's where the understanding comes in. And without faith, understanding becomes this very like intellectual approach to things built on just facts and logic, whereas faith invites us into a little bit more of playful imagination, if you will. When we talk about manifesting, as I've been alluding to before, understanding and faith again work together. Understanding is the realization and the knowing of the laws that help us create the world we wish to, or personal world that we wish to occupy, we wish to curate. And faith is just that deep knowing that as long as we are aligned with our spiritual consciousness as much as we can, then we're on the right track and things are going to happen. In her book, Divine Audacity, faith is not so much a belief, but just a deep knowing. And Linda Martella Whitsett describes it as the capacity to stand in what we know is true, regardless of appearances. It's not believing in something. It is the perceiving power that allows us to see the underlying wholeness, even when things look broken. And she says it is the audacious refusal to be swayed by temporary facts. I love that part. The audacious refusal to be swayed by temporary facts. And that's kind of what happens to us a lot, isn't it? Like things happen and all of a sudden we're shocked. We are in denial. We can't believe what's going on. And it often makes us want to change our beliefs. Now, I'm not opposed to us examining our beliefs from time to time, right? Often we have beliefs that no longer serve us and we get to let them go. When we get to the power of release, we're going to talk about that. So sometimes we get to let go what no longer serves us. But the deep abide in truths. For example, you and I are the embodiment of the divine. The Christ nature exists and is the essence of who we are. Um, that belief, in the face of anything that might oppose it, when it's not swayed, and we can really rely on that, that's an example of faith, that deep knowing. And she looks at understanding as a type of spiritual maturity, the ability to look at a situation that's going on and discern the spiritual truth within it. And as I mentioned before, it's less, why is this happening to me? But what is the deep truth here that is either seeking to make itself known or that I am here to demonstrate in the midst of it? And understanding is really important because it's the power that provides the necessary perspective to use all the other 11 powers. Okay, so faith and understanding really kind of form in many ways that bedrock of applying the other powers. And it's why I think when people write books about the 12 powers or give sermons about the 12 powers, they tend to start with faith and understanding. They're the bedrock. None of the other powers we would have a good handle on applying without faith and without understanding. So what I'd like you to work with this week, your homework assignment, your opportunity to practice, is what I would really like you to work with is the question of what is it that you audaciously stand in? What belief do you audaciously stand in, regardless? So I'll give you an example. For me, and I believe in the inherent goodness of people. That is a belief that I, in spite of all the evidence to the contrary, that I believe in the inherent goodness of people. And I see it a lot. And there are times when, again, you spend your time watching the news, you would think that there's not a lot of inherent goodness in people. But there is. Now, the idea of understanding how that works is that, yes, while I do believe that in the inherent goodness of people, there's a truth that sometimes means that I am that inherent goodness and I get to show up as love. I get to show up as wholeness. I get to show up in a way that invites the inherent goodness of people to show up in my life, or that I am the inherent goodness that shows up in theirs. So I no longer look at situations and rate it on a this is good, this is bad, or, the question I only ask is, again, how am I to show up as the divine? And my faith is the audacious refusal to stray away from that question, to stray away from that invitation. Another example, and we can talk about the power of love soon, is that love, the great harmonizer that brings everything together. I have deep abide in faith that when we live from love, if we all live from love, it will cure all that ails us. Because when we live from love, we won't have a need for domination. We won't have a need for oppression. We won't have a need for hierarchy. We won't have a need for separation. All these things. So the understanding pieces, again, when a situation presents itself, or I find myself in a situation that's less than loving, I have to not go, why is this happening to me? And how do I get my defenses up and get my guard up to fight and struggle? The deep understanding is I have faith in that concept of love. And in understanding that, again, what is my truth in any given situation? How am I to show up as love? And then maybe I'll tap into the power of love itself. So this is how faith and understanding sort of work together. And that, like I said, we'll take a deeper dive in on Wednesday. So again, what is it that you have faith in? And do you understand how these spiritual powers can be applied in your life? Um, that's what I want you to kind of sit with this week. What do you really have faith in? And if you want to know what you have faith in, look at the choices that you make and where you make those choices from. And that tells you what you have faith in. That tells you what you truly believe. And I want to invite you to have a faith that goes beyond what your ego and human self would have you believe, but something deeper. It's spiritual faith. And combine that with spiritual understanding. Let's meditate on this for a little while and allow it to open us up some more. So if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, ground your feet on the floor, and start to settle into your heart space. I invite you to turn your attention to the inflow and the outflow of your breath. And allow yourself to become present to your breath, to your body, to the deepest truth of who you are, a Christed being, the embodiment of all that is. I invite you to affirm, I am faith. I am that deep knowing that as the embodiment of all that is, as the manifestation and demonstration of the Christ, that within me lies the capacity and the potential to walk in this world in peace, in harmony, in abundance, in love. By saying, I am faith, I allow myself to rest in that assuredness, believe in it with every fiber of my being. I am faith. I am understanding. I have within me all that I need to apply these principles, knowing how they work. And knowing that the truth that God is seeks to manifest as me. I am understanding is another way to affirm and answer that question. How do I show up as God? Because that's what we get to understand in any given moment. Everything that shows up is an opportunity for us to show up as God. So for a few moments in the silence, let us affirm these two truths about ourselves. I am love. I am understanding. I am faith. I am faith. I am understanding. Let us affirm these for a few moments to ourselves in the silence. I am faith. I am understanding. I am faith. I am understanding. I am faith. I am understanding. I affirm these two deep truths for myself and for all my loved ones, acquaintances, even strangers who may be struggling. So I want to hold them in consciousness right now. So if you know of any loved ones or even acquaintances or anyone that you can think of who you would like to affirm this deep truth for so that they and their situations can be transformed, bring them to mind. Let us hold them in consciousness, hold space for them. And we affirm that they too are the faith and understanding. They have the faith, they have the understanding at a deep consciousness level to usher in transformation for their lives. So as we begin to emerge from that meditative space, let us know that throughout this week, now that we have affirmed it, as opportunities arise for us to live it, we recognize them and simply affirm, I am faith, I am understanding, and open our hearts to receive the guidance. How am I to show up as the divine? So we're grateful for the opportunities. We're grateful for the powers innate to us, imbued in us. And we say amen and amen. So yes, when we start to affirm and resonate with these things like never and deeper before, the universe will respond and give us opportunities to practice. So just remember that when things come up in your life, rather than ask, why is this happening? Go like, wonderful, another opportunity to practice. That's all it is, opportunities to practice. So right now, I invite us all to practice spirit of generosity in our giving. As always, Unity in Harlem is supported and maintained solely through your generosity. So if at any time you've been connected with this community, whether it's been the last 3 days or the last 3 years or even beyond, please, and you'd like to see us continue, we ask you to consider giving a donation, whether you're sitting in the sanctuary or online. Go to bit.ly/Unity in Harlem. And if you don't understand what that means, just go to unityinharlem.org and you'll see links where you can make a donation. So we're also going to now, in faith, give thanks for that with our um, Alfred affirmation. And as you remember, for the last 2 weeks, I kind of gave you some hand signals to go with it so that you can embody what that spirit of generosity can mean and the given. So I'll walk through it once with you in case you haven't picked it up yet, and then we'll say it together. So we start like, hand up, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. So let's say it together with the actions. Ready? Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And I'm thankful for your gifts. It's time for good news for Unity in Harlem. And is that you coming back up, Bob, or you want me to share the good news? We're kind of having a little bit of a go with the flow service this morning. Or is Annette there?
Annette is there.
You know what? I'll
Right,
jump in
right.
with what I know is happening. And I know that, again, as I mentioned before, Wednesday, we're doing our book study on Divine Audacity, the 12 Powers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be able to attend all of them. It's going to be on Zoom, 7 p.m. The link is bit.ly/Unity in Harlem Zoom, or if you want to call in by phone, you can do that. The information is on our website, but also meditations are happening. I believe the 2 midweek meditations are now going to be all on Wednesday. So Wednesday 10 a.m. and Wednesday 6 p.m. So you can come and meditate for a little bit and then do the class. And I see Annette's with us. I don't know if there's any more things happening you want to tell us about, Annette. Good to see you.
Just to repeat the Zoom connection, that when you come in online, when you come in by phone, it's 698-428-2725, and then you do the 929-205-6099, and the passcode would be the same as if you came in just online with the 698, the 929-205-6099, and the passcode is 777-7777. We are still looking into continuing the meditation at Pillars. As soon as that's set up, we will let you know. As Reverend Ogun said, he is always available for pastoral care, and that number is 978-992-7297. And that's by phone, not by Zoom, but by phone. And next Sunday, we will let you know what the title will be for next Sunday. So I am very pleased that you are here today, and blessings and yes, the book study. There's a new book study. It's a wonderful book called Divine Audacity. And from the title, you can tell, even from Reverend Ogun's talk today, that we are divine. And the audacity to show that and to come and be present with that. And this book guides you through that. So it's a continuation of what his talk was today. And that new book study is at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays from 7 to 9, I believe. And it's with Reverend Ogun. And that one will be on a Zoom. Am I correct? Yeah, so you get to see him and say hello. And also on Wednesdays, midweek, there's the meditation that is in-house, not with pull-ins, not with pillars, but in-house. And that meditation and prayer circle will be on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry I haven't been saying that Eastern Standard Time, but as we talk about time, we will usually mean Eastern Standard until we make that division and start to name the different time zones. So thank you again for coming in. Reverend Carol's book study on Tuesdays is winding down. It's this week, Tuesday, and next Tuesday, and the chapters and book will be finished. And that was the Finding Yourself in Transition by Robert Brummett. And that one meets on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So thank you very much for coming in. And as always, until August, we will be reminding you that Celebrating Our Soul, and you'll see their logo on the screen, People of African Descent, New Thought Group, will be having their conference again this year, August 13th to 16th at Unity Village in Missouri. So registration is on. It will be on until to July, actually. July will be the late registration, so if you can register now until June 30th, you will be in the regular registration. It's a wonderful, and if you go on the website, you will see what the grounds look like. You will see the services. They're even going to be having massage. I mean, it's at a cost, but you'll get a chance to have a massage because they have a wellness group that is also will be on the grounds. It'll be wonderful lectures, and I really encourage you to go to the People of African Descent New Thought Group website for the conference to see all that will be available in addition to the lectures and those who are giving the lectures. So thank you again for coming to Unity in Harlem today, and I turn the service over to Marie, who will have a song of inspiration. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Annette Vernell. All right, now let's sing this song that actually goes very well with the talk. It's called Our Thoughts Are Prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. I have a jazzy version of it. Thanks. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Pray. Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers that spirit resonates with. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness, and and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Think without thought. Our thoughts are prayers. Our thoughts are prayers. Our thoughts are prayers. Create with our thoughts. Our thoughts are prayers. Our thoughts are prayers. Faith and understanding. Our thoughts are prayers. Pray. Divine, pray. All right, and now it's time for the prayer of protection.
So let's all affirm it together, this truth that we know. As the words come up on the screen, we can say it together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And let us close with our peace sound.
Our peace song. Everybody sing. You too. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family hold are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Thank you so much, Bajan, and also Jackson Jr. And who else wrote in? We have a few people writing in. Thank you so much for being with us.
Go be this week faith and understanding, and transform yourself and the world around you. We'll see you next week.
Take care, you guys.